Part 3 of the Ramaswamy talks. Why am I doing this again? After specifically telling you that Vivek Ramaswamy is not worth your time. I'm talking to everybody, frankly, that watches this video, including the Ramaswamy supporters. But for a moment, let me address the regulars if you are a visiting Ramaswamy supporter. And hey, don't get bored. It's good for you to understand the way your opposition operates and the way we think. Folks, wicked community. Why am I talking about Ramaswamy again after saying he wasn't worth your time? He's not. I think his supporters might be. I think they might be worth your time. Not all of them, sure. But if you are a Vivek Ramaswamy supporter, what are you? A conservative who doesn't support Trump. Worth considering, isn't that? Worth considering. Worth talking to. Now again, you have to separate. Are they being serious? Do they like them for real reasons? Whether those reasons are simply perceived or they are actual tangible facts. Or are they just using a love of Ramaswamy as a cover for getting away with dastardly things? I have given multiple segments to this politician I do not like and I do not think is worth anybody's time because I think his supporters are worth our time. And if we are unable to convince them that Vivek Ramaswamy is trying to scam them, because I believe that is the truth, we're unable to convince them of that, then wicked community, you and I need to work, and it's fine if this is the case, but we need to work on our pitch. First of we don't need to. We should. Let me try that again. We should work on our pitch if we're unable to convince these folks. Again, our strategy is to use the fact that we have the numbers. Right now, we could convince no Republicans to switch sides, and we'll win. We shouldn't settle for that. That's millions of people we're allowing to live in a delusion. Let's make try this the other way. If you were living in delusion, would you want to be cured of that? I would. To that end, Vivek Ramaswamy supporters. If I'm delusional about this, I want to know. And I want you to tell me. I'm going to go through some of your comments that I think are coming from a sincere place. I might be wrong. Maybe you're going to break my heart. It's been broke before. Maybe you're going to break my heart and I'll find out you weren't serious. But I think just off the fact that I've seen names returning and you sat through me busting your balls, I think it's worth the effort to try, if only to say we did. So let's do it. As Guinevere said to Lancelot, let's do it. On Lady Shreds Ramaswamy 2, Vivek supporters request more pain. Again, I appreciate you sitting through my heckling. Jerry Vandervoort with some numbers says, "Sir, we came close to not being able to pay our own soldiers. 45-day extension. Vivek is not lying." Now, I did ask for him to talk about what he was talking about there. I said, when he said he wouldn't be beholden to donors because he was his own biggest donor, did that not cause you concern? If not, what about the point I made do you disagree with? You seem to be approaching this honestly. And okay, so then he says this. You said Vivek lied in his fear of Social Security not being there in years to come. I do not believe Vivek lied about this at all. Sorry I called you dude earlier. I will edit that. No, I very much am a dude. I've been going by they them to screw with the algorithm a little bit, but it's okay. Between you and I, you can know I secretly do identify as a goofy ass man. Here's why I feel, Jerry, that Vivek lied about Social Security. Let me go back up to what you said about it, because on its face, you're not totally off, sir. We came close to not being able to pay our own soldiers. 45-day extension. Vivek is not lying. So I see. Those are separate thoughts. With the not being able to pay our own soldiers, just so we're clear, I mean, let's make sure we're on the same page. You know that's entirely the fault of Republicans, right? They shut, first of all, they are the ones only who ever shut the government down. That's not supposed to be a tactic we use. Second, they're entirely responsible for it this time. So much so that when McCarthy even did a deal with Biden to negotiate, we're talking about a different thing. We're talking about people other than Vivek. But you understand who's responsible for that, I hope. Moving on, Vivek. You said Vivek lied in his fear of Social Security not being there in years to come. I'm so glad you responded, man. I'm going to give you a heart for that. That's a rarity. Social Security not being there in years to come. I do not believe Vivek lied about this at all. I do believe he did, and here's why. He has made it seem like the options are Social Security gets cut down, or it goes away when we run out of money. Here's the reality. There's a third option. It was originally part of Social Security. It was up until rather recently, as a matter of fact. I'm talking last 10, 15 years. And that is the cap on who has to pay for it. It works like this. If you make a certain amount of money, up to a certain amount of money, some of your money, if your income is withdrawn, and that pays for Social Security. But after a certain point, because of what Republicans, exactly like Vivek Ramaswamy, put in, no, there is no money put into Social Security. So what would you do? You would raise the cap. You get rid of the cap. Let me phrase this in a better way. Social Security cap. The limit on annual earnings subject to Social Security taxes is referred to as the taxable maximum, or the Social Security tax cap. For 2023, that maximum is set at $160,200, which, by the way, is an increase of $13,200 from 2022. In other words, they raised the cap to pay for Social Security, the cap on the taxable income. I realize this is boring. It is. I'm annoyed at Vivek Ramaswamy because it becomes necessary to have these boring conversations simply to keep something around that many people survive on. There's a lot of old grannies and grandpas out there whose kids tragically are not around to take care of them. Happens. They exist on Social Security. With what Vivek Ramaswamy is saying is necessary to preserve it in any form at all, a lot of those grannies and grandpas would simply lose their homes. In order to convince you that it's necessary for those old grannies and grandpas to lose their homes and to stand in a bread line for a meal, he has gone out of his way, Vivek Ramaswamy has, to not mention that a simple answer for this is to raise the cap to pay for Social Security. We're supposed to be doing that. As inflation happens, that is what is supposed to be happening. The cap is supposed to raise. Republicans went out of their way to make sure the cap does not automatically raise, and it's a fight every time you want to raise the cap, in order so that people like Vivek Ramaswamy can go out there and say, oh, this thing's running out of money. We're going to have to get rid of it, because they do not like paying for things that help people. They would rather rich people not have to pay any money at all to keep other people alive. Never mind the fact that their fortunes were built in a society where people are taken care of. They pay their taxes to build roads. They pay their taxes to have schools, so the populace gets educated, and that billionaire can hire somebody who actually understands that 2 plus 2 is 4. Never mind all that. They would like pay for nothing. And they try to convince you that that's all that can be done, that they're just being fiscally responsible. They're not. They're being fiscally cruel. And if you stop and you look at what they are saying, on its face, it's nonsense. How about this? Remove the cap altogether. Make it so that a billionaire has to pay a little bit out of all the billions they earned to fund Social Security. And if it seems like too much to you, I would ask, do you make more than $160,000 a year? Because otherwise, 100% of your income has a little bit of it that goes to Social Security. Why does a billionaire have an easier time making money after he's already passed where you are now? Shouldn't it get harder the more money you have to make more money? As you get more and more, shouldn't it become more and more difficult to make more? The fundamental question. I think yes. I think it should. I think it should be very easy to make a reasonable amount of money. It should be a little tricky to become rich. And it should be extraordinarily difficult to become ultra rich, because we don't need ultra rich. We need a lot of people who are getting by with no sweat. Vivek Ramaswamy is in stark opposition to that. He has convinced you and others that it's necessary to inflict more cruelty through economic practices by making it seem like it's for your own self-preservation, but it's not. It's not. And in fact, when you have members of your family that can't quite make the cut, they're going to ask you to help them. And you probably will, because I'm assuming you have a heart and you love your family. So you'll be financing what should have been financed by your boss's boss. Do not vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. Next question. He stomped her with his answers. That's what was said. I didn't see the response, so I'll just say he clearly didn't. He ran away from her answers like a coward. I did the breakdown of this. I'm not going to go over it again. But he did the same thing that a fella, Matt Walsh, in an earlier segment did. He ran away verbally from the answers. She fundamentally asked him, why are you different than Trump? You're not, on paper, you're not qualified to be a high school principal, much less the president of the United States. Why are you better than Trump? He did not answer that question. What else is there to talk about? No, he won't be able to unless we have economic growth. To which I responded, he won't be able to what? Hit me with a timestamp or just type something out or just type what you're referring to here, and I'll respond, I don't see it. Now, that was 5 hours ago. I don't expect you to be mother-henning your YouTube account, but do write me at whatyoucando@wycdnetwork.com. One by one, I will address all of you. I will respond to that. He won't be able to, just fill in that part, unless we have economic growth. I would like to find out what you're talking about. I believe you're being lied to, and I believe you're a sincere actor here. I think you genuinely are trying to figure this thing out. I think you have bad information, and if you don't, I do, and we got to figure this out. We have to know which of us is being lied to. I think we might even find out that we're both being lied to a little bit or a lot. But I don't think I'm wrong. I think I've read these tea leaves correctly. Most of what I say is likely to happen winds up happening, not because I'm a secret genius, but because I've got a group of people telling me what to look at. I invite you to tell me what to look at. One of us is wrong. Let's find out who. No shame if we're approaching it honestly. No shame. Who are you going to vote for? Was asked by on my tip. I'm trying to pronounce it as best as I can. Biden, as of now, was my answer. Who are you going to vote for? Is it still Ramaswamy? Was it ever Ramaswamy? Let me know. I hope if it ever was that it's not anymore. But at the very least, I hope I've made it clear why I think this guy is a con man. And if he is, if you can at least acknowledge that he lied to you about, say, Social Security by pretending there was no third option of simply asking the ultra wealthy, like Vivek Ramaswamy is, to pay the same share of their income that you do and I do. If you can acknowledge that, my question is, why would you listen to anything else he has to say? Because he tried to deceive you. Do you understand? He tried to lie to you. He tried to give you wrong information. He tried to trick you into voting for him. That is why you should not vote for him. That's why he could have good arguments about other things. Maybe. It's irrelevant. You cannot trust him. That's fundamentally why I think he is not worth any of our time. And whoever you are, that includes you.